The one thing that I've noticed, and I know you're a big hyperliquid guy, is that between Venezuela and Iran, the one thing that's shined very brightly is that you can have real time pricing for commodities and assets 24/7. Is this been kind of a vindication of your thesis on things like hyperliquid?
So obviously, if you've trapped my Hyperliquid wall, we've gone quite long hype. We might add more, we'll see. And yeah, I'm about to write a massive essay about why I think Hyperliquid should be trading at like $150 by the end of August of this year. And when I sat down with Jeff and we talk from time to time, and I'm really happy that he's executing on this vision of allowing anyone to trade anything, anywhere, anytime, right? And so now, politicians like to do things on the weekends because the markets are closed. And so then the public doesn't get this feedback of what everyone actually thinks about what they're doing versus what the media tells them they should think about it. Yes, it's not trading billions of dollars of ADV, but over the weekend, you could trade oil, you could trade silver, you could trade gold, you could trade S&P 500, NASDAQ, a select few of these tech stocks. And even Bloomberg is now recognizing that price discovery happens on the weekends on Hyperliquid.
So, one thing I've been dying to ask you: what do you think about the appointment of Kevin Warsh? The crypto markets originally didn't really love that. A lot of markets didn't like it so much. How do you think about that appointment?
I think who cares? It doesn't matter who's in the seat. Like,
Really?
I know from like a very short term, like this next meeting, who's going to vote this way or that way. Like people get caught up in this minutia about things. But if we step back and look at Fed history since 1913, the president gets the monetary policy that the president wants eventually, right? So I don't care who's in the seat. I don't care who doesn't like Trump, who likes Trump. If there's a war going on, is the Fed going to not print the money to fund the war? Of course not. They're gonna print the money to fund the war. If the banking system falls apart and JP Morgan needs to get bailed out by the Fed, are they going to not print the money because Trump is the president and the appointed Warsh? Of course not. They're going to print the money. So in the event that we're all looking for, which is a reflation trade of a massive money printing event, it's always political. The Fed will always come around to save the system. It just means that the pace of that easing might not be what we want, which is why I think Bitcoin and some other heavily sensitive assets have sold off. Well, yeah, okay, maybe you have a divided Fed, and it's harder to get that consensus to print. But that just means that the crisis, the a priori crisis that creates the need to print just needs to be more dramatic, which is what we're waiting for. And I think that could happen either with wartime financing or with this sort of AI knowledge worker disruption.
Got it. You paying attention to the Clarity Act at all?
No, could care less.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't know. A lot of people think it does. Like here, I hear you in the long term, and I totally agree with you that like money printing is going to happen, but the pace of that money printing, the pace of capital coming into crypto, I think is going to be a function of a couple of things that are happening. And like my sense is that the sentiment is much worse than the fundamentals, and one of those fundamentals is going to be the Clarity Act or something like it. Today, I mean, Trump just tweeted out on True Social how he's like, "Banks, get your shit together. You guys got to, we need to get clarity done." But like, how can you not think that that's a medium term, short and medium term benefit for the crypto asset class? It has to matter.
An institutional investor doesn't buy Bitcoin because of the Clarity Act. They might not buy Bitcoin because there's not a Clarity Act. Let's say the Fed is raising rates to 10% overnight, but the Clarity Act passed. Are you buying Bitcoin? No. So like, it doesn't matter. Like the Clarity Act might at the margin, push somebody over the edge, but the decision tree to buy Bitcoin is purely a liquidity decision. It has nothing to do about the regulations. Like banks don't care about regulations. They will break every law on the book if it means they're going to make a bunch of money because there is sort of a push to make that money. We got from 0 to 68,000 up to 125,000 Bitcoin with no U.S. regulation, no Clarity Act, no banking support. So why do you need it now? If this is really about building stateless money through a grassroots up effort, who cares if BlackRock owns Bitcoin? It's nice that they do, and they're perfectly willing, happy to use the protocol as it stands now. But who cares? It doesn't matter. Tell me what the liquidity situation is. I'll tell you the price of Bitcoin. Clarity Act or no Clarity Act.